The storm had caught up to him, as would the riders behind him. He didn't mind either all that much. It was time to confront both. After all, wasn't that what he'd come back for? To take the bull by the horns, so to speak? To set things right? He gigged the black down off the mesa and into a canyon he remembered hunting years ago, him and Roy as boys. He knew this country, as Roy had, like the proverbial back of his hand. Soon he was holed up in a notch cave with a fire crackling and the black safely stowed under a stone overhang protected by a large stone escarpment. It was a well-concealed place, but his stalkers found him. They either knew the country as well as he did, or they'd tracked him here. Maybe both. "Hello, the camp," came the cry, slicing through the cacophony of thunder, lightning, and slashing rain. "Ride in easy," Severance called, kneeling by the fire over which he'd hung his battered tin coffee pot from an iron tripod. He watched the riders. 3 men riding side by side, moved slowly up the pine-stippled slope beneath the cave. The rain slashed against their yellow rain slickers and sluiced off the brims of their hats. "You can picket your horses with mine," Severance yelled against the storm's roar, canting his head toward where he'd left the black. The men rode over and unsaddled their mounts, then slouched beneath the weight of their saddles as they clambered up the gravelly slope and into the cave. Severance sat back against the rear wall, legs crossed Indian style, a cup of coffee steaming on one knee. He'd pulled the flap of his own rain slicker back behind the handle of his .44. "Boy, that coffee sure smells good, friend," said one of his sodden visitors, slapping his funnel-brimmed, badly weathered Stetson against his thigh. He had a big square head with thinning brown hair combed back from a pronounced widow's peak. The other 2 agreed. "Help yourselves," Severance said. They each dropped their saddles near the fire, fished cups from their saddlebags, and filled them from the gurgling pot. Soon they each sat in a semicircle around the other side of the fire from Matt, their backs to the storm. Thunder clapped like cymbals, lightning slashed across the purple sky behind them. The horses stirred, whickering. No one said anything for a long time. The 3 newcomers just sat staring at Severance as they sipped their coffee. Matt stared back at them, sipping his own hot mud. They'd each made sure their own hog legs were within a quick, easy reach. The man on the right wore 2, one for the cross draw on his left hip. He was tall and thin, with a razor slash for a mouth. His eyes were flat and dull. The man to his left was small, thin, and blond. He studied Severance with quick, flashing eyes, his mouth twitching expressively. He seemed to want to say something for a long time before he said, "Say, you're Matt Severance, ain't you?" "That's right," Severance said, and sipped his coffee. The 3 pairs of eyes blazed, boring into him. "Why'd you come back?" asked the stocky man sitting to the kid's right. He sat leaning back against his heels. He held his steaming cup in his left hand. The walnut grips of his Schofield .44 were revealed by the tucked-back flap of his rain slicker, upon which the beaded rainwater glistened in the firelight. His black denim jeans were patched at the knees. Severance avoided the question, asking his own instead. "You boys from around here?" He knew they were, having lived here most of his life. Except for the last 2, he knew most of the cowpunchers and ranchers in this country. He'd seen these 3 before in one saloon or hurdy-gurdy house or another. He didn't know their names, but he remembered their faces. The faces of these 3 were a little more worn, a little more lined than they'd been 2.5 years ago. But he'd seen them before. Your average 30 a month and found cowpuncher. That's all they were. All they ever would be. They'd punch cows until they could.